Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at Staraptor as a trap in the Ultra League. As you can see already, this can function pretty well. So we're going to have a team here with the Buzzwole in the lead. I just want to try out Buzzwole, to be fair, because this Pokemon seems to be very solid right now. And honestly, I can highly recommend you to try this Pokemon out in the lead. I have to say I had a crazy good record with this team. I actually climbed up over 100 points, I think, with this team, which is kind of wild because it is a little bit more spicy here, of course. But honestly, this team itself is a lot of fun, as you might already see here. The next close combat coming through against the Charizard. Now we can align our Pidgeot. And this team works out pretty well in general because you have two Pokemon that can debuff the opponents, which is very cool for the endgame. For example, here, you're going to see me use two shields against the opponent, but now they're going to be in a situation, okay, they had Venusaur on the back, which really doesn't matter here for us, but they were in a situation where we're able to debuff them the entire time, which is insanely strong for the endgame. So what we kind of have here is we have a team where we try to get out a potential Ice-type Pokemon, a potential Steel-type Pokemon, a potential Dark-type Pokemon, whatever doesn't want to face a fighter, which we have in the lead, of course, onto our Staraptor, so we can do an insane amount of damage. As you can see, not here because the opponent going to shield, but you're going to see it quite often, and this is going to allow us also to get out the Pokemon that the Pidgeot doesn't want to face. So like if there are 3 answers for Pidgeot, it might be a little bit tricky, but otherwise you're most likely going to get out the hardest answer for the Pidgeot, so you can sweep endgame, which worked out fairly well, I have to say. So here, we're going to have a situation again where we have two Pokemon on the opponent's part and they're going to forfeit anyway. I cannot even showcase it, but you would be able to just debuff the last Pokemon from the opponent and just give you an insane buff here. We're going to see a Skuntank in the lead. This is fairly neutral for the lead, but of course they would have the move Flamethrower, which might be a little bit tricky to deal with. But otherwise here we would be able to farm them all the way down if they don't want to swap out, but you know already, of course they want to swap out. But they're gonna get hit by the launch, which is going to allow us, of course, to get the debuff onto the opponent's attack, making this matchup now against the Pidgeot fairly easy, as you're going to be able to just go ahead and go for actually a Brave Bird, I would say. I'm just gonna go for 2 Brave Birds here, I would say. I'm just gonna build up to another 1 or 2 on energy here, as this should be enough here to, of course, knock out the opponent first, but also then keep some energy alive for whatever wants to come in against us. And it's going to be the Skuntank again. We're gonna get the debuff onto them, which most likely going to result in a shield, or like, oh, actually it does result in a shield, I didn't expect that. But we can now go ahead, go into a Buzzwole. We have the opponent's Trevenant, of course. Is the Raptor is the hardest answer to a Trevenant. There's nothing they can do, and this is going to be a good game. Horrific lead against us. Goalless support might have even access to the move Aerial Ace, which would be double super effective. But in comes a Pokemon I like to see, which is going to be the Obstacle, especially if they're running Obstruct, which actually makes it a little bit easier for us. As now, as you're going to see, we're going to be able to get to 2 close combats before they can even go for another charge move, forcing them to give me a shield, and also we're gonna get the knockout against them. In comes the Alolan Mug, allowing us to now align our good friend Buzzwole against it. And now we just flipped switch, we have a shield advantage, and we also flipped the entire game, because now we got basically out of the hard counter matchup, allowing us now to have a great time here, as you can go for 1 launch against the opponent. I can't shield this move up, I don't have to shield this move up, I'm gonna shield this move up, just in case it's a Dark Pulse, which actually would have knocked us out here after the double debuff. But we're gonna get out now the Goalless support, we're gonna get the first debuff here onto the opponent, and at this point of time this game is over. What do they want to do against the Pidgeot? I have no idea, they don't have any idea either, and they're just going to decide to forfeit this game. Good game there. A little bit tricky for this team, surely Charizard. I feel like it would have been cooler to have something like a water and flying type Pokemon in the back, like a Pelipper or an Mantine. Like those 2 Pokemon would work out pretty well. I wouldn't go for the Gyarados, don't go for Gyarados, please. Gyarados is pretty bad in the current meta if there is no limited meta, to be fair, so Gyarados, no. But the rest would be kind of nice, as I think a flying plus a water type Pokemon would give this team a little bit more balance against Charizard, which might be a little bit better for you. But otherwise, we can now knock out the opponent's Sandslash here. We're going to let this move go through because we're going to go ahead and try to sweep endgame here with our Pidgeot. Can we do this? No, because we're going to get completely hardwalled. We have a Charizard and 2 Ice-type Pokemon in the lead and the back there against our Buzzwole and 2 Flying-type Pokemon. This is just a complete hard counter matchup. There's not a lot that I can do about this one. I'm going to let this move go through because I have to let move go through anyway, as the opponent has a move stalled, I think, on the Charizard. And there's not a lot that I can really do here. I actually don't know if there was a chance for me winning this. If I played it a little bit differently, maybe. But sadly, I was hoping that this Brave Brave Bird going to knock them out, but sadly it does not, and as you're going to see here right now, they're going to swap out, and this is basically game. Because my Pidgeot will not be able to knock out a full health Charizard without any energy on the Pidgeot, and with basically 0 health left. So yeah, this might not look as ideal for us, but we actually were able to reach the Brave Bird, just sadly at the same time as they reach the Dragon Claw here. So that's going to be a good game. Nearly even won this game here, even though we were completely outwalled. But let's take a look at the next game. We're going to have the Swampert in the lead here, which is going to be pretty neutral for us. If you don't have a Buzzwole, by the way, you can also use something else, like a different fighting type Pokemon, like a Toxicroak, or something like a Swampert. A Swampert would also work out pretty well if you don't have a Buzzwole build yet. But otherwise, again, you can use some other flyer in the back instead of the Pidgeot. But in general, this team is based around trying to get out the answers for the Pidgeot with our say swap of our good friend, the Staraptor. We don't have the Shadow variant because I feel like the Shadow variant is pretty unnecessary for this one as well. I could build one if I wanted to, I have a good rank for that one, but I feel like this normal one is totally okay to use right now. Maybe even a little bit better. Again, as said already in like videos prior before, I feel like that the extra Shadow bonus is not really that beneficial nowadays in the open Ultra format. But here, of course, against the Swampert, we might actually have a pretty decent time here going for the double debuffing move here, as they're going to actually let this move go through, allowing us to get some extra farm here, which is pretty nice, because the opponent still has their Skuntank in the back, which will not appreciate the double debuff, and here we have the power of Pidgeot. The opponent has 2 shields left, we don't really care too much. If they don't do damage because of our Feather Dance here, we're gonna have a great time. They even let this move go through, which I find weird, and I still have no idea why. Like, honestly, I have no idea why they did this, and this is literally seals the deal here, because there's nothing they can do about this one. We see the shield coming up right now. I can go ahead and go into my Staraptor. And at least they're going to show me how little damage it's going to do here. 4 times debuff crunch does basically nothing. Good game there. Nothing that they really can do there anymore. Next opponent, great lead here, and I'm like, this is like the thing. I'm not really misplaying here. I've seen a ton of times that, especially Nidoqueens as well, against Pidgeot, they just don't really shield. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna try to do the risky play and go for the Brave Bird immediately. But it's a risky play, and it didn't turn out pretty well for me. So like, this is my own fault. But in hindsight, like, this is the thing that you kind of have to learn when you play a new team and how to really deal with it. This matchup I would have played differently if I played this team for a little bit longer already prior. What I would have done is I would have stayed in with my Buzzwole. I would have stayed in against the Nidoqueen with my Buzzwole, which seems to be a little bit like silly in the beginning. But if you get to the point where you can go for a lunge and just debuff them and do some counters and hope that they throw the Poison Fang basically pretty much as close as possible to when they get it, you're going to be able to swap out later on into an already a little bit weakened variant of the opponent there, a little bit weakened variant of the Nidoqueen, and you still would be able to then go into your Pidgeot and most likely have a pretty decent time just even going for the bait move there with Feather Dance, because they already got the damage onto them. So honestly, I just panicked there, just swapped into a certain Pokemon, because I know, of course, that Nidoqueen usually hardwalls Buzzwole, but you can play out at least like the first move, and then you can try to swap out. But yeah, this time around I got then hardwalled afterwards, which is normal. Like, if you lose Switch, you kind of lose the game a lot of times, which is like one of the most important things there, that you try to keep Switch advantage. But great play by the opponent there, but in hindsight, if I play this team a little bit longer, I would have most likely known a little bit better on how to play around this scenario. This is something where you just learn after a little bit of playing. And also after like watching your losses. Like, watching your losses is way underrated than most people think. Like, record your losses, try to watch what you're doing wrong, and try to learn from it. This is how I got better at Go Battle League, and this is also what I do basically in all my videos, which is kind of helpful, I think, for a lot of people to understand how a team gets played. Here we're going to have Deoxys Defense. This is a Pokemon that I really don't like to see. Honestly, Deoxys Defense is a core breaker for this team, and I can say that for sure here right now. It is not the most common Pokemon to see, just because it is fairly expensive to build. I have one of my own, of course, but I don't really like to use it, because I know a lot of people outside there don't have the resources to use a Deoxys Defense. So here I'm actually going to use a shield, trying to now get the debuff onto the opponent's Swampert. Don't know if this is going to work out as well as I imagine it would, but yeah, we're going to see the launch coming through. We're going to do some pretty decent damage there, to be fair, and we're going to put them into range for 1 Feather Dance, but honestly, we have to still get to 2 charge moves here. The opponent is loaded on energy here right now, as well as we're going to be very debuffed here. We at least have to survive 2 moves, I feel like, or like 3 moves, but they're actually going to get to the next one in time already. yeah, at this point of time, there's only one play. Because I got to this move here before I can get to the Feathered Lands, I am forced to try to farm him all the way down. But we sadly miss that win here by a 1 fast move, which is kind of sad, but still very good game to my opponent. As you're going to see, the next opponent. Amazing lead for us, as Cavalier has nowhere to go here, really. I'm just gonna go straight for the superpower. Because we have an ABB line, we're going to be able to swap out now into our safe swap of the Staraptor, which gonna get out the Ampharos. This is fairly bad for us, but at least we're gonna get out a pretty hard answer for our Pidgeot. This is basically what the Staraptor is forced to do, and also we are actually going to be able to reach another close combat here in time, which will allow us to get both shields from the opponent. In comes our good friend, the Boswell, and we're going to shield up the incoming Zap Cannon. This is fairly decent for us, because we don't really want to have the Zap Cannon on anything else, as we're going to be able to reach a superpower here to do some pretty decent damage against them. And I'm going to no-shield this one because it's just a brutal swing. Even though we're debuffed, it does not really matter too much. And then in comes the Pidgeot, and this is something which I'm maybe, I don't know, it's a little bit difficult. I'm going to call that they're going to bluff first and go for the Feather Dance first. Here I'm going to go ahead and go just for 2 Brave Birds back to back. I know that they're going to get to the next Brave Bird as well, but it's going to be a little bit of a tough one to still win this one. Let's take a look at this. We're going to have to shield up this move, of course. If they go for Brave Birds, it might be over. And they're going to go for the Brave Bird, allowing me to go for the Feather Dance instead here. So we are not going to get more debuffed here, but I'm also going to be able to get some more energy. And I'm going to try to swap out immediately, as you're going to get out the Ampharos here, and we can farm them all the way down. Is this enough to knock out the opponent now? The opponent gets to a charge move here with the S-Cavalier, but there should be energy dry after this one, and we have some extra energy here. And in comes the Feather Dance, and in comes this win here. Good game to the opponent, but this was an easy one for us. Let's take a look at the next game coming up. We all see some confetti rain, because it's currently this weird event going on in Germany where you get like double hearts for your bodies for whatever reason. But here we're going to get another great lead for the Boswell. Boswell wins a ton of leads right now, which is amazing to see as we see the Greedent against us. What we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and go up to 2 charge moves, because we're going to debuff ourselves, and I don't really want to get debuffed against Body Slam spam, which because that can be a little bit annoying. But like this, we're going to be able to just nuke them away. Goodbye Greedent, and we can swap out against the Jellicent into our Staraptor. And we're going to wait until they throw 1 Surf, because the Surf going to be pretty damn decent for us, because we can at least take 2 of them theoretically. But now I kind of want to go for my charge move, because I don't want to overfarm, don't want to give the opponent too much free energy there. But I'm still going to be able to shield up 1 more time, allowing me to at least go get the final shield or the knockout against the opponent. Both of them going to be fine for me. If they go for another charge move here, which they most likely gonna do, especially at this point where I have basically no energy, I'm going to let this move go through, let them realign, but I have now basically the power, and they're going to see that as well and just going to forfeit. Next game here, and also I think the final game for today's video. Horrific lead for us, Pidgeot, the worst possible lead ever. But in comes the Registeel, and this is exactly what we want to face with our Staraptor. This is why it's a trap here. We're going to be able to get out those Steel-type Pokemon. And also, we're going to outspeed the Registeel fairly easily for the charge move, so it's going to be very nice for us. Here we're going to be able to go for another close combat, which will knock them out if they let this move go through, but they're going to share this move up, allowing me to go for another one straight away. This will now definitely knock them out, as they're, never mind, they're going to shield this move up as well, allowing me now at least to go for my own shield. And in comes another Focus Blast, as they're going to swap out into the Pidgeot. I will be able to reach my Pidgeot in time here as well, as they are a little bit lower in terms of their health, but they're going to go for the Feather Dance first, which I'm also going to do here right now. And after this one, I can go straight for my Brave Bird. I know that I still survive a Brave Bird from the opponent after the double debuff here, but they make actually a play that I find questionable. I would have went for the Brave Bird here, but they went for the Feather Dance instead, allowing me to still go for my own Brave Bird. Of course, we're now 4 times debuffed, but still gonna do a ton of damage, and it's gonna do enough damage here, hopefully, to force them to go for their own charge move here, which is going to be the Brave Bird, allowing me to go into my Buzzwole, going to get out the Weezing, and this is a hard war. So we are pretty much hard war the entire time through here, but our Staraptor is just coming in clutch again. Gonna get a ton of damage against the opponent, but they're still very close to getting this overheat, so I'm gonna go straight for my charge move here, and now it's Buzzwole's turn. First knockout here, very nice for us. They still have 2 Pokemon left. In comes the Registeel, and we're just gonna go ahead and go for another superpower here. But now the opponent is still going to have the Pidgeot in the back. We had two times debuffed here right now, but it's not enough for them to win this game. So even though we got kind of hardwalled there, we still were able to win this game thanks to the insane damage of Staraptor. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. There are 2 videos on the screen, check them out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.